Hello, everybody. I am here, and it is good to see you. And I hurt all over. I had such a busy day. It made me realize, boy, am I out of shape. First thing in the morning, we left here at 9 a.m., went to my favorite local nursery, Myers Greenhouses, and bought all my plants for summer. That was 2 wagons full. And the woman there, she's so sweet, but I feel like she always kind of apologizes when she gives me the total. But I spend the same amount every year, so I always know what it's going to be. And it was funny, the night before I wrote up a list just in case I was, tired and fuzzy in the morning. And it was amazing how I followed that list so well. But I kind of tend to buy the same things each year. Once in a while, something will catch my opinion. It'll catch my attention, and then it's like, ooh, better have that. But I finally decided I'm no good at raising fuchsias. You know, the hanging baskets with the fuchsia flowers? They just don't like me. I have not been able to raise them in 40 years. So I've given up. No more fuchsias. I love them dearly, but you have to have a certain touch with fuchsias. So then I bought some more wishbone flowers. I'll have to show you some of those. But there was a really cool petunia, and it had what they call the broken petals, which is the stripes on the petals. And it caught your attention, but it was yellow and a dark purple, but it wasn't a really pretty purple. It was kind of a muddy purple. So I said, I'll pass on that one, but that would have been expensive because it was in a hanging pot, because anytime there's a brand new flower, there are a limited number of seeds to growers. But anyway, so we ran around there, and that's tough when it's this much full of pollen, and the greenhouses are very humid. And so, and then I came home from that, took a 15-minute break, and then got busy setting up Indigo Day. And my daughter came to do it with me, and I'm so excited to show you. Oh, and you know what? I wonder, maybe it's in here. Let's see. Because I have a special reveal for you. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me first show you. I don't know if I ever showed you. Hello, everybody. Yes, the first day of May. I won't tell you what James Taylor said about the first day of May, but I went to a outdoor concert of his one time, and he did a little ditty about the first day of May. But this is my wool Christmas tree that I made. Do you remember me working on this a few months ago? And I finished it, but I think I forgot to show you the finish. I love it. This was free from a log out in the yard that Mark had cut down. We have what's called Paulownia tree. And what we do is we chop it down to the ground every fall. And when it starts growing back up in the spring, the leaves are huge. So we love that. And Mark made this little pedestal for it. Then I took some wire stems from flower arrangements, stripped everything off, and taped them together with floral tape and made these little branches. And there were some branches on some of the floral things, but I had to actually take wire and make enough to have it filled. But isn't that, my birthday's next week, but good job, sweetie, good job. Next Sunday, Mother's Day, go figure, huh? But anyway, I love it, and I love the way I angled them, and I found real wool does the best job. Or at least an acrylic felt that's not too stiff. But isn't that sweet? So it's sitting high up on a shelf, and at Christmas, I'll put little miniature ornaments on it to decorate it. So, oh, thank you, Barbara Smith. That was so sweet of you. That was so sweet. Thank you. Oh, she got her Dupioni. Oh, did you get silk or did you get polyester Dupioni? But I'll have to start working on mine again so we can share. You send me pictures and I'll show you mine and we'll share. So, well, it is nice. It's going to be a Mother's Day birthday day, and I've got a surprise for you. My daughter has agreed tentatively, as long as nothing comes up, to do the show with me next week. So I thought that would be really cool. We'll have 2 generations, and you got the polyester. All right. Isn't it great? I don't know if you went to Fabric Warehouse, but it was like $4.99 a yard rather than the $20 a yard silk version. And I hope you got some good colors. When I got mine before Christmas, so much had been sold out, but I can't wait to see when you get it in. Okay, Debbie, we'll be the Debbies doing it together. So we'll do our Alex Anderson hand embroidery together. So let's see who's here first. I'm so excited to show you this indigo, but I got to be calm, but I can I'll give you a quick peek and I'll show you the rest later. I mean, we've got Becky and I did some fantastic indigo dyeing. All right. So, there you go. You got it made. That was even cheaper than mine because I had to buy a bigger amount. Good job. Good. Oh, I can't wait to see it, Debbie. All right. So our Marcia, the hostess with the mostess, and Jody. Hi. I know April flew by, Jody. It just zoomed by. Let's hope the next few months for Miss Jody go by just as quickly. And try to keep your mind, Jody, on the prize at the end of the trouble. Because, when I was talking about all of this to George this morning, to Mark this morning, and I said to him, that surgery was tough. But you know what? Now it's like so yesterday. So I'm going to wish that for our Jody. And speaking of Jody, Jody, don't look too closely, Jody. Look at all of this. You guys are fantastic. So I'm starting to work on this tomorrow. And I sent Jody an email to say, what's your favorite color or fabric type? But you guys, you came through. I've got at least 14 blocks there. So thank you. Thank you. I tell you what, and that's a big testament to our Jody. We love her. We love her talent. And it's all good. It's all good. Thank you, guys. All right. Now, Barbara Smith is here. And Diane 57, hello. You're still making the dog collar. Mitty's here. Hi, sweetheart. And of course, our Debbie is here. Oh, man, it is good. Oh, Sonia, hi, beautiful lady. Hi, sweetheart. And tiny lights. Woo. Okay. Oops, I'm hoping I'm trying not. Oh, Jeannie is here. Hi, hon. Oh, that's wonderful. And did anybody do a Jitsi yesterday? Because I was going to say we can talk more about specifics in the Jitsi. Kaz is here. Did anybody do a Jitsi? I thought about y'all, but I tell you what, I am really out of shape. And so Sonia did. Thank you, Sonia. And so every Saturday, we're going to do Jitsis, and I'm going to try to see if I can pop in. So don't forget. Yes. Oh, all right. Great. And, if we're all too busy, it's okay. But it's just an opportunity if you want to come and sit and sew and chat, because that's really nice. I love it when I can calm down to do it. I tell you, my hardest thing is doing 2 shows a week and preparing for them. Sometimes leaves me running around like a crazy lady. So anyway, all right. Kaz, Marsha's making fun of your name, honey. You can go ahead and, as long as we don't see it, you can give her a little pitch. So, that is wonderful. So we're so happy to see everybody here. Let me show you some things real quickly. I showed you my woolly tree. I'm looking over at my agenda to make sure I don't miss anything. Then, so many things. I even went out to the garden and picked some flowers to show you what's blooming out there right now. The most wonderful thing, the extra bonus about working with Indigo. I'm sorry. So look at, this was a natural wood clothespin. Look what Indigo did to it. Isn't it beautiful? So just think, hey, you have something. Oh, you know what? I bet any natural product it will stick to. I bet you could take, and I used to weave baskets and I want to get back to it, but you could take some of the reed and dip it in Indigo. That would make a beautiful basket. And I saved my Indigo vats so I can still do that. Whatever the trouble with passion. There you. I think that was a beautiful quote, Diane. That was just beautiful. Okay. So I have been busy this week with my wonderful, I keep dropping stuff. Stop dropping, Deb. That's when you can tell I'm kind of tired. But this is my Appliquick set from my Nadine. You shouldn't have Nadine, but thank you for it. And I'll show you what I'm doing with it. And remember the Thursday night, I said I had a strip of my Alex Anderson neutrals. Here it is. It was right at the end of this, but I couldn't see it because I had all of my curvy pieces hanging there. But here it is. And I have been quilting since before 1990, okay? Long time. And in doing the first 2 blocks with these triangles, went on with the long side against the on-point block, because I had I had sewed this to this, this to this, and then sewed these 2 to that 2. So I had a nice square here, right? So these went on with the long side. Well, when I came to put these on, I started to do the same way. Duh. I had to take it all out and do it again. And then when I went to put on this one, I pinned it to the wrong place in the square. I had to take it out again. Honest to goodness, guys. And the reason I tell you this is because you know what? We all make mistakes. Never let it discourage you. Keep your eye on the end game. But I think I'm going to love this. And when I move it further out, it looks more neutral. When you bring it up, you see some of the colors, the punch colors. I had to be happy with this. I had to give it a little punch because I didn't want it too amorphous, too all over light. So I am looking forward to this. And I think I told you I put a little color in. So, and then I want to show you, I finally learned how to swirl my seams. Look at my indigo dye on my fingernails. But I learned how to swirl the seams. What I can't figure out is how to swirl the middle ones. I kind of just forced it because I couldn't figure it out. I have no idea why my brain won't compute. But some spatial things, my brain won't compute. Then I wanted to show you how I took a piece of regular printer paper, and I outlined all of my templates, and I kind of did a quick little mental thing. I knew I had to have 198 of the E template piece. So I put 12 of those. There's 2 up here. There's 10 down here. Then I knew I only needed 20 something of these. Because what I did is I added a little template piece because I want my center flowers to have a little droop on the petals. I thought that would be so cute. So I made up a template for that. And then here are my flower centers. I knew I only needed 20 some of those, and these more than these. So I kind of just did a quick mental note, then drew this up, then put this on the glass of my printer. Then Mark helped me. I got my guillotine cutter, and I cut freezer paper into this size. And he fed them in one at a time. I printed 10 copies, and then I took the 10 copies, cut out all the freezer paper templates, ironed them to the different fabrics. Then I realized, oh, I also need to cut off the seam allowance part, because you notice how I drew a line but then cut extra so I would have room to fold it under, because I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be that size. But I said, my flowers might be bigger, and that's good. Because you know me, everything bigger and better and brighter, that's a good thing for me. So what I've been working on this week is folding the seam allowance over, gluing them down. The reason I went ahead and I'm using, not everything is perfect, but the reason I'm using the freezer paper is to try to get a better shape on my stencils, because I like doing needle turn applique, but sometimes my petals and leaves and flower centers look a little bumpy. So I thought by gluing them to freezer paper, I'd get a better shape. That's what I'm looking for. And then I'm going to hand stitch it down with, an invisible applique stitch, trying to miss the paper if possible. And then when I get near the end, I'm going to take a pin or a seam ripper and try to pry the paper out from behind the thing. If I can't get it out that way, I can always, the part of the fabric that I put this on, let me show you. Like, let's say I was going to applique it right here. If I can't get the paper out through a little ½ inch before I finish sewing it down, you can always come in here, make a little cut, and take the fabric out that way. But honestly, I try not to do that if I can help it, because even though it's going to be encased between batting and backing, I don't want to leave a raw seam anywhere if I can help it. But I'll let you know how that goes. I'm still a few weeks from sewing on appliques, I think. But I have to have all of these strips, 4 of them. I think she said 4. I have to have all these strips done tomorrow, so when she does her next tutorial, I'm ready to go from there. So at first I was doing good. I caught up on all my pieces and everything. Now I just have to finish assembling those. But now that I've done it and practiced, hopefully I won't have to keep ripping out seams. So I just thought I would show you real quickly. Let me get a good one that'll show up on camera. But at night when I sit down and I'm too tired to do anything else, I sit and glue these applique pieces. I'm sorry it's taking me so long to find. I want one that'll show up on camera. Okay, so what you do, and thank you, Miss Nadine. That is so sweet of you to do this to me. You didn't have to, but I treasure it. And because as you can imagine, I'm thinking, oh, they're too expensive to afford. Okay, So you take your glue stick and you put glue right on the fabric going around the freezer paper, okay? Put the glue there. Close up the glue. It's pretty fast drying. Oh, let me bring the light over. And then what you do is you take these tools and you just put the fabric over, press it down, put the fabric over, press it down, and go along pretty quickly because the glue will air dry pretty quickly. So just be ready to do it. But you see, we're having the freezer paper allows me to get a smoother edge. Okay. Now, is this fussy? Yes, it is. And if you wanted to do it faster, you could probably run any kind of glue stick around the edge and then use your fingers to push it in. But as you can see, this really does. It does a nicer job than Deb is used to, because you know me, I tend to be impatient. But now let me turn this over and look, nice, smooth edge. So thank you, Miss Nadine. And you just got, all of you just got a little tutorial on using the Appliquick system. All right. Let me get all of that out of, is there anything else? I think now I'll show you what's been in my yard so then we can hurry up and get to the Indigo, the star of the show. All right. Thank you for those who put a little card or a little special something in Miss Jody's package for me. This is, believe it or not, this is a clematis, you know, from the clematis vine. And it's more than a double. I don't know. But I bought this. I had forgotten what kind I bought. It's a lovely lavender, a little darker than what you're seeing on screen. And I waited and waited, and it was just so tender and so babyish. Well, now it has gone gangbusters. It's climbed all the way to the top of the trellis. It has a dozen blooms on it. And this one's starting to fade, so I broke it off to show you, but it was hard to take any off of that. Isn't that beautiful? Now, what I'm going to do with this flower is enjoy it until it really starts to fade. Then I'm going to put it in a plastic container with some of the silica gel, a packet or two of silica gel. See if I can save this for paper making, because that's something I would love to do this summer. All right, let me bring these over. Okay, there's so much to show you. All right, here is part of a sweet little azalea that's just, right now we need rain. So our flowers, but it's got this tiny little rose-like petal on it that's absolutely exquisite. I think I'm going to have to pull some of them out of the water to show you. Let me do this really quickly. All right, because everybody has azaleas. I know that. But I just thought that these little petals were the sweetest things. Look at that. So, a class you took. Oh, what a great idea. Porcupine quills. You know, early on, porcupine quills were used as sewing needles. There are a lot of things that they come in really good use for. I do not know what this tree is, and I would love it if somebody knew. But this has the sweetest honey-like scent. And we were doing the indigo dyeing right near this yesterday. It was like indigo dyeing in heaven. Then out back, and I have more flowers than this outside, but I was in a hurry. This comes up every year in one of my flower beds. The woman who used to live here 12 years ago, plus. Loved native plants, and planted a bunch of things. So I don't know what that is, but I love it. And then my roadies are out doing themselves this year. I mean, unbelievable. And is that just, I mean, I must have 50 blooms on these couple bushes that are out, right outside my sunroom. Isn't that gorgeous? And please know that when I take these branches off, I take them off in areas where they've overgrown, because I don't want to. I wish everyone could smell that wonderful scent. Now, let's see. Then I have some Dutch iris out front. Isn't that cute? Isn't that cute? I'm going to try some petal pounding, flower pounding. So you take white fabric and you lay this on it, and then lay a cover cloth, and you take a hammer and you hammer down so that the coloring will come out on the fabric. I don't know if it'll stay, but it's beautiful. All right, here are two different things. This is a type of a geranium, a wild or perennial a geranium out in my front yard. Lovely. I would love to do some root cuttings. I haven't done it in ages. This is a bulb I have out front. Oops. I hope that, there's a spider on one of these. And this, I have no idea what it is. Mark always wants to rip it up, but for just 2 weeks in the spring, to me, that's absolutely lovely. So, you know, weeds are only weeds if you really don't like them or they're in the wrong place. Here's another Dutch iris. Then here is a full iris. Is that blue? It is the closest to blue that I've ever seen. Then I have lots and lots. Here's another one of those yellow ones. I have lots and lots of viburnums that are blooming. Love them. And then one more rhododendron. Love them. So anyway, I look out the window. I get so happy because, I get so happy because it's like free gifts every day when I look out and see this. So let me hurry up and get it out of the way, but I just thought I would show you. And there are more things. I have some variegated Solomon seal that is blooming out front. And with Solomon seal, you have to look under the petal, under the leaves to see the blooms. But that is just, this stuff is amazing. And I'm very lucky. I planted some of it, but most of it was here when we bought the house. It's so funny. I was such an avid gardener before. And I felt like every time I was getting my yard established, I had to end up moving. And it broke my heart to move because some of the plants I actually started from seed or rooted, and I would have to leave them. And then when I bought this house, I said, wow, this is my karma. I'm like, when I saw the variegated Solomon seal, I mean, it got me all choked up because I said, I now am inheriting someone else's garden. So that's wonderful. All right, so let me get to Alex Anderson stuff out of the way. But I'm so excited about that. And I have pages and pages of indigo dye plant information that I am compiling into a handout for all of you. And I will do it. I have got so much knowledge in my head. And I got to tell you, sometimes I'm very impatient. And sometimes I just want to hurry and jump into something and do it. But this time, from watching other people dye indigo, I thought, this is something special. I took the extra week to really try to learn what I needed to learn. And it worked. We had it so well set up. And we had, Mark was wonderful and helped me set up a cabana and get my heavy bucket full of hot water. He helped me figure out how to convert a scale to grams, an electronic scale, and then, so I could measure the ingredients so carefully. I followed the instructions. I told y'all I went to a dozen at least sites. I went on the computer to Wikipedia, to the Victoria and Albert Museum site, and to other museum sites, and got the really good information. And it does break your heart when you have to leave your plants. They were like my babies. Oh, I'll have to try to remember for next week to find some of the pictures of when I used to start so many flats of flowers. In my sunroom of my house, I hung shop lights, 7 pairs of shop lights. I put up sawhorses and a 4x8 sheet of plywood with plastic on it. I would have that whole thing lined up with trays of plants that I started from seed. Underneath, I had another whole set of flats. And so every 12 hours, I would take the ones from up top, put them down bottom. The ones from down bottom came to up top. I was a crazy girl about that stuff. So gardening to me, I thought it was always going to be my first love. And then I started quilting. But Mary, I would love to one day get to spend some time with you and talk plants, because they are something that you do for your heart. So, it's hard to leave all those plants. So anyway, but my kids, in fact, both my daughters love gardening, and one of my daughters starts things from seed too, and it gets me so excited. And there's nothing like, oh gosh, they grew up watching peat pellets swell up in warm water to become a little peat pod. And every year we'd get out in the garden, and we'd have our new batch of turkeys that would go out there with us, and we'd put in the summer garden. I do miss that. That was a wonderful time. Hello, Christine Piper. Charlene. Why did I call you Christine? I don't know. Oh, that's wonderful. Your granddaughter's coming for a visit. Isn't that wonderful? Well, have a good time, Miss Charlene. So, all right. I think I'm going to show you a little slideshow presentation. I have not fully learned how to do my video editing program. So I was trying so hard because I wanted to be able to show you something. And then up pops, would you like to make a slideshow? And I'm like, heck yeah. So it did it pretty much for me. So here we go. Here we go with, did I do that again? I always do that. Okay. So now I will bring up this slideshow. Whoops. All right. Are you ready? This is a quick overview of the indigo dyeing, followed by the ironing board recovering. Okay? Here's where we had it set up on the driveway. Here I am. Now we're taking items, squeezing the excess water out after the water bath, and then putting it into the indigo. Here's our rinse water. Here's the water to pre-soak. And then my daughter Becky has her hands in the indigo vat. Here is
if it broke, I get a new one quicker.
This is, I think, is this Becky's maybe?
Here's a piece that
And see where it just got opened up and it's still partly green where it was crunched together. Now that's where my glue resist didn't work once again. That's wrapping it around the PVC pipe. But look at all of this. This was the most successful day. I highly recommend it if you can do it. And here I am working on a wax resist piece. But look at all that wonderful stuff everywhere.
So here is my final reveal.
This is the one I did where I put marbles in the fabric.
I used this circle.
All right, so here are a few
Ironing, sewing
bits from the video I'm going to do for the ironing board.
So, I've now
Here's the plywood. It's got cotton batting.
all the edges.
And then there's where I've stapled
Nice and taut.
the ironing board fabric.
All right, now I have stapled this side. I've stapled that side. I'm going to show you how to do a corner. Okay, so now we have the plywood taken loose. Then I cleaned the top with a nice damp rag. All right, now we have taken
She's kind of going backwards.
that we screwed from under the edge of the dresser. And hello, this is
That's before.
going to be how do you make a giant ironing board?
So there we go. Now, as soon as I can figure out how to use that new program, soon as I can figure out how to use the new program, I promise I will. Oh, let me tighten this. But Mark said, well, that's like a teaser. I'm like, yeah, but I can't wait to figure it out. I started trying to work on it, and I thought, I'll be here all day if I try. But I hope that gave you a little sneak peek into it. So it really did help that I took my time. I spent all day Friday ironing the fabric. No starch, no nothing. I scoured the new fabric. I scoured even the new prepared for dyeing fabric because you just want to make sure those fibers are open as much as possible. So let's give you a little show now of my Indigo. I am madly in love with this and want to keep going. Okay, here is my wax resist. And I just used a paintbrush with the hot wax. And I found, in fact, let me show you, anywhere where it doesn't show up fully, it's because the wax wasn't hot enough. It's got to be not smoking, but hot enough that it immediately sinks in the fabric, into the fibers. Let me show you. You can see some of that on the bottom, but look, on the back, you barely see it. That means it only sat on the surface. So if you want a distinct pattern, see even those, the spools, and just to show you, all those circles were from the bottom of an empty spool of thread. Isn't that cool? I just dipped them in the wax, put them on the fabric. So I think this is really cool. And cut up into pieces, this will give you some really good patterns. So Mark said what he wants to do is help me get a metal measuring cup and make a little hole on the side so I can put hot wax in it and then kind of drizzle. And I thought, that's a great idea. I wanted to have these ironed before the show today, but I ran out of time. This one is from Fabric put on the big PVC pipe. And let me see. Oh, here's the right side. There's kind of a right side and a wrong side with Indigo. Now, how I made this one is I folded the fabric in half and then did almost always do accordion pleats so the die can get through. Oh yes. So this one is accordion pleated to about this big, okay? And when you do the accordion pleats, then you wrap it diagonally around the big pole, and then you take and scrunch it together. And because you did the accordion pleats, that's what gives it the chevron look, where it comes up, goes down, comes up, goes down. So I think that was a great success. These lighter ones were dipped twice. To get a stronger color, you need to dip it 3 times. But let me explain a little bit. Indigo dyeing is different from Procyon dyes. How it dyes is you have wet fabric. You have to take all the oxygen out of the dye, which makes the dye smell like a swamp. So you want to do this outside, but you mix your chemicals very carefully, measure with the scale because everything's in grams. Measure it carefully. You have to stir it carefully, just like, and I'll give you all the specifics and the directions. But what happens is you have to raise the pH. Indigo won't dissolve in water, not regular water. So you have to add soda ash, which raises the pH to 10 or 11, which then allows it to finally dissolve. So you put that chemical and you stir, 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 stir. Crossing your fingers, you've dissolved all the indigo. The last thing you put in is your fixer, your reducer. Reducer is the correct term. And that takes all the oxygen out of the water. So you put that in, and I used sodium hydrosulfite, or they call it hydro. Some people like to use more natural methods like fructose, fermented orange peels. I don't have time for that. And I wanted a really good color. So what I did is use the hydro, and I carefully, slowly stirred that in, pouring it in a little bit at a time. And the moment you add the hydro, you have to stir very calmly, very calmly. You don't want to do any splashing, any bubble making, and you stir that, and it has to be the hottest water you can get out of your tap, not over 120 degrees. So Mark filled up 4 gallons out of a 5-gallon bucket, and then I added all this, stirred. Then you only cover it partly because you have to let some of that oxygen be able to escape the container, but you cover it mostly, just leave a little breathing area. Then you have to leave that for about an hour because it takes a while for the hydro to get all the oxygen out of all the molecules in the bucket. You'll know when it's done when it has what's called a flower on the top, and that's just where the oxygen bubbles out of the solution, and sometimes there'll be a coppery haze on the top. So when you think it's done, you move the flour and the coppery stuff to the side, and you have all of your pre-prepared fabric. Any kind of machinations you're going to do, the shibori means resist dyeing, and indigo is perfect for that. So you've already got all your folded and rubber band and marbled fabric. You have them soaking, and also in warm water for half an hour to make sure that water gets all the way in those folds because the dye can't travel without some water to travel on. So this is how indigo dyes fabric. There was one woman that I listened, and she knew the science of it. She was amazing. So indigo the solution has to give off all of its oxygen because its molecules are kind of big. Procyon dyes dye by binding, becoming one with the fibers. Indigo dyes by sneaking in the fibers. Okay, so it doesn't become one with them. It gets trapped in the fibers. That's why you want to make sure your cotton is fully cleaned and fully soaked so that the fibers are swollen up and indigo can sneak right in. Then, and this is why it has to be deoxygenated. If it's already blue, if it's oxygenated, it won't stick on. It might look blue until you rinse it, and then it all rinses off. But when you take your fabric out of the dye bucket, it's going to be green, a yellowy green. And when you hang it up to the oxygen, and the oxygen hits it, and it absorbs the oxygen, the molecules get too big to be able to fit out of the fabric. Got it? Now, I'll tell you how I can prove this to you. Blue jeans are all dyed with indigo. Synthetic most of the time, but indigo. Do you know when you wear indigo jeans, where your hands rub on your thighs, where your wallet rubs the pocket? Since the indigo is just glommed onto it or inside the fibers, when you massage that fabric, the indigo can pop out. So that's part of what we love about indigo. No one wants to wear a brand new dark indigo pair of jeans. Everybody wants to have them look a little used and worn, and they wear on the creases. That's indigo. And the moment the oxygen hits the indigo, that's why it won't stay on the fabric if it's already blue and oxygenated. It needs to be smaller molecules to fit into the fibers. Oxygen hits it, it sucks it in and swells up. And now it's trapped in the fabric. Will the color stay forever? No. Wherever it gets rubbed or worn, it'll fade there. But that's the beauty of indigo. Indigo is made from probably 6 different or more different plants all around the world. The indigo they raise in India, which was the first country to really use it, and indigo has been used for about 6,000 years in our history, in mankind. Each different society has somehow magically learned how to use plants to dye things, and they found a way of making a blue dye. To me, that is absolutely amazing how brilliant these societies were to figure this out. Because if you take the indigo plant that might be grown in America is different from the indigo plant that they use in the tropics. And the best indigo comes from India, those tropical, any of those Southeast Asia countries where you've got tropical weather. And now there is a dye from a plant called woad, W-O-A-D. That easily grows in America, but it has only a small amount of the indigo dyeing color power. That's called indocin, and it is the amount of that chemical in the plant so that you can get it out. So things that are dyed with woad, a natural dye, are really like a baby blue. If you want to get a deep blue, you have to use indigo. Now, to get a really deep color, you don't leave it in the dye bath to get a deep color. With jacquard dyes, you leave it in the dye bath for a while, and then you have to do what's called batching, where you put it in a smaller container, and it sits there with the dyes and lets the dye finish becoming one with the fabric. Not so with Indigo. It only will allow so much to fit in at that moment. So what you do is you take your fiber out of the Indigo bucket. And Becky was perfect at this. I would squeeze the water out of the rinsed fabric, hold it tight, give it to her, or sometimes I would gently lay it into the vat. Becky kept her hands under the surface of the water and would swish around and open and make sure all parts of the fabric were accessible. If the fabric had rubber bands or ties on it, well, you can't get to the middle, but that's the whole point. So what we did, fabrics, so the reason you have to do extra dips, you take it out, let it oxygenate, which can take up to 30 minutes. It didn't take ours any length of time. We had the healthiest vat you ever saw. And so once it fully oxygenated, we would rinse it just carefully. And if it was tied up, you just rinse the outside of the tie up. That rinses off any indigo that didn't make it into the fibers, because you don't want that blocking the path for new indigo to possibly get in the fibers. Then I would squeeze all the rinse water out, hand it to Becky. She would put it down under the surface and leave it about a minute. Okay? Then she, under the surface of the water, because remember, you don't want to splash and drip because that puts oxygen in the water. So she would, after about a minute, she would squeeze it out under the water, then carefully come up the side, give it to me, and I would lay it in a dry bucket to let it start oxygenating. If it could be opened up and hung up on the line, we oxygenated it hanging up on the line. So I thought when she was there, I had lunch stuff set out. I thought I would work on my neutral blooms, gluing down my seam allowances. Oh my gosh, no. Since you only leave it in the dye water for minutes, and then you have to make sure that it's been in the soak bucket for 30 minutes, and then it was like nonstop moving around. Okay, this one's ready to be, got to rinse this one, so and so then it can go back in for the second time, trying to keep track of which and who has been dipped and what. And I had a few extra pieces that, we thought we'd have time in between all of this to do intricate folding, because I wanted to show her some of the techniques. Finally, about the last 4 or 5 little pieces, we just put them in the bucket. we wet them and put them in the bucket, and that was it. Now this one is made by the Accordion Folding. That's how you get the repetitive look, but that's going on. Accordion Folding. Then on the last accordion fold, the long ways, you fold it in triangles, accordion folding triangles. So you do a triangle this way and a triangle back that way. Then if you notice these marks near the outside, hold on, it's got some thread. It's so funny. I'm so laid back in some ways, but I don't like loose threads. But anyway, see that? That's the popsicle stick. So after it was accordion folded into a triangle, I put popsicle sticks like this, rubber band the ends. You have to do this resist. You have to have a popsicle stick on one side of the folds and a popsicle stick on the other. And then you rubber band them real tight. If you want a bright white, you have to make it tight. If it's not very tight, then you'll get pale blue. So there's that one. Now let's go for a dark. Here is, do you remember a while back I tried the glue resist? Well, it worked enough to make this one splotchy, which in its own is pretty. But that's one of the glue resist things that just didn't work out. So instead of just throwing away the fabric, look at this. This was another former glue resist. So isn't that neat that it's given me a kind of batik look? Isn't that neat? So we took all the scraps of what I consider die failures. Now I'll show you. Oh, the wax one I showed you earlier, I had 2 that I did the regular wax resist. After I rinsed them in the bucket, and you have to change the water often to make sure you can see how much it's losing, then I brought those in the house. Everything went into, after rinsing it the best we could, put it in the wash machine and put some vinegar in the wash, just a couple tablespoons full. But the waxed ones I took upstairs and put in a pot, big pot, my biggest pot, and covered the fabric with water, put some vinegar, and boiled them because I wanted to get all the wax out. Now, next time I do it, I will pour, it's 100% cotton, it's Kona, they're prepared for dyeing, that's been scoured, meaning washed with detergent and the hottest water. And but this is 100% cotton. Silk dye is even prettier, but silk's not in my budget anyway. But I boiled it. I boiled it for about 20 minutes to get all the wax loose, because that's one thing. I did not want the wax to stay in the fabric. So here I am with this huge pot. I forget where Mark was. I put my strainer in the sink to catch any wax. I poured the pan, burning my finger, into the sink. Well, my white, beautiful cast iron sink now has blue wax on it. So I'm going to have to figure out how to get the blue wax off. Because soon as the water with the floating wax in it, and of course the wax turned blue with the loose indigo thing, as soon as it hit the cold cast iron sink, it solidified. So, anyway, it's just crazy. So this one is where I took the fabric, and let me see which way is front or back. Here, this is the pretty, one side is brighter than the other. With this, I took the white fabric and I made a little peak like this, just kind of pulled it up. Then I put a rubber band going around like that. So that's where you get all of what I call the spider webs. Which way is the right way? Yeah. So I think that is so cool. Now, so there's that one. Here is a resist where I took cardboard oval. I didn't have the plexiglass or little pieces of wood, so I used a thick cardboard, which does work, but not as good as I wanted it to. But I cut 2 oval shapes. I did the accordion folded, then accordion folded into a square, put the cardboard on each side of the thick pad of paper, put a C-clamp on it. And the C-clamp held the cardboard enough. Yeah, this is the right side. The C-clamp held it enough that it made this. Oh, you get it. The thing is, yes, if they did not wash all the excess dye, it will get on your legs, but it should wash right off. Remember that if the indigo dye is already blue, yesterday I had blue here, blue spots all over my legs, all over my arms, and it just washed right off. Because the moment it turns blue, it won't stick anymore. So remember that the indigo has to be unoxygenated to stick. That's why I wore rubber gloves when we dealt with the vat. This, I spent a lot of time taking the gel glue and drawing really pretty designs. And unfortunately, the amount of time that it has to sit in the soak water softened it all up. I had a little whale on there. Oh my gosh, it was so cute. I did an elephant and a whale. This is one of the rejected fabrics from before. Look at that. Isn't it pretty? You just never know what you're going to get. I was telling my daughter, it's kind of almost like a spiritual thing. It's like it's a living thing, this relationship you get with it, and you just don't know what you're going to get out of it. So here, this was one of the glue resist, and this, the drawings I did, this is all that managed to get through. I had the cutest little whale on this, on the waves, ocean waves. What I've got to find is a way to do that with wax. Okay. Or maybe I can look around and they have something that, you know, you can draw a little more easily with. I don't know. Here is, this is the coolest one. What I did is I had some coasters, square coasters. So I did the accordion fold, put the coasters on each side, and did a big C-clamp. And it held it. No, actually, you know what I did? I did rubber bands on top. And how I know that is, see these little lines? I'm trying to see. Yeah. See the little lines right there? That's the rubber band going over the edges. Okay? So, I mean, I had a blast. I can't wait to do this again. I told Mark, I really love this. Really love this. And I said, you know what? If I can find a market to sell this, I want to keep doing it. Here's another one. Oh my gosh, I can see a design on this. Hold on. Oh my gosh. I can, but you probably, there's no way for you to probably see. Let me try something. Holding it up to the window allowed me to see enough of a resist. Okay, let me see. Okay. Now, whoops, I don't know if it's going to work that way. But I can see where I drew. No, you can't see it that way. Let me see. If the lamp were here, but I can see the flower. There you go. Can you see the flowers and stuff I drew on it? Oh my gosh. So it left a faint little, oh my gosh. Look at this. It left a faint little outline. So maybe the thing is, do the glue resist? I'm blinded by the light. Do the glue resist and barely soak it. Just lay it, you know, since it's open anyway, just lay it in, wet it, and put it in the dye. I think that's the answer. All right. But that was cool to actually be able to see something I spent quite a lot of time on. Here's another one of the little ones. Because we thought, yeah, it's wonderful to have the imprinted ones. But if you're going to make a quilt or something out of it, you're going to want some of the dark and some of the light. You know how that is. But these just went into the went into the wash machine after they were rinsed good. Went into the washing machine. And Mark said, you're going to put your shoes and a shirt in there? I said, yeah, because it's already oxygenated. It's not going to dye anything. In fact, I always put old blue jeans in with new blue jeans, hoping that the color will transfer onto the old ones. It never does. Now I know why. If it's blue, it's not going to work. This one, I did all kinds of little marbles. And you take and you put a marble under the fabric like this. Then you tie a rubber band real tightly under the marble. So it kind of looks like that. And that's what makes this. So I thought you might like this. I'm trying to decide which one. That's good enough side. But anyway, I think this one did get dipped 3 times. When they're darker, everything got dipped at least twice. So if it's darker, it's 3 times. If it's a little bit lighter, oh my gosh. I'm wondering, this has the most beautiful batik look pattern on it. And I know we only used white fabric. I wonder if this was a tone on tone. Look at this. It's got a really beautiful pattern. That is gorgeous. It didn't dye my sink. The wax hardened on the sink. So I probably can use a Mr. Clean sponge, or I might use some popsicle sticks. Just try to. I probably could put boiling water in the sink, but I don't want it to go down the drain. So anyway, Mark came in. He said, "Did you pour that wax down the drain?" I said, "Look in the trash can." I had the strainer, a real fine strainer in, so that the wax hardened and stuck in the strainer. This one was was dyed on the PVC pipe. One end had, you don't want to have it folded too many times to go on the pipe, or rolled too many times, because the inside doesn't get very much pretty color. So I thought, well, it still has a vague outline of stripes. If I just dip it once, maybe it'll just darken the stripes. No. So this is this one. And it has the pretty, beautiful sheared outside. But you see where I dipped it? No, it just, it just did this. But you know, the color is so beautiful that, you know, it's like a summer sky. It's just so beautiful that even a fail on Indigo is gorgeous. And the outside is exquisite. I love that. So I'm going to do some more. That was one of my favorites. The folding techniques with popsicle sticks, the sheared on pipe, that is my favorite. So I did not pour out my Indigo dye, so I will be going out there and doing some more. I saved some fabric to do for jacquard, for Procyon, dyeing. But let me turn this way. Maybe you can see it better. This is another one with the rubber bands, and this was a triangle fold, and that's what gives that design. You can see that there's the triangle, right, because of the lightest blue line. But this is awesome. So, and in fact, it's so warm out there today, it would be a great day for dyeing. Because if you get the water over 120, you'll damage the Indigo. But, oh, you know what? I was thinking, see how on this side, this stripe is dominant? Well, on this side, it's this. So each side it takes turn, which makes sense. You're doing accordion folding. Here we go. This is an accordion folded long strip. Okay. So you accordion fold it like this. Do it all the way down. Then you take and put rubber bands tightly. And everywhere the rubber band is on tightly, it gives the pure white. And it gives the other blues where it's only on a little bit tight. Hope you're not getting bored. Be careful with melting wax going down the drain. That's exactly why I said from now on, boiling wax water goes outside. So, can you re-dye some of the fabric again, the lighter ones? I probably could. Since I re-dyed that one end, it kind of took away the pattern. So I realized too, if you're going to use it in a project, you want some of the lighter colors. But here is one of the little pieces. We got too tired. We just threw them in. This was a cutout of, it was a heart-shaped cardboard. And unfortunately, it just left a round blob, but I still absolutely love it. And I'll have on your handout the different, like the shearing it on a PVC pipe. It has a specific name. Now, every community has their ways of resist dye. We say shibori because the Japanese were so amazing with their forms of resist. Now, let me show you this one. This is a big piece. This wasn't folded. It was rolled onto the PVC. It was rolled on at an angle. Now, what I can do, which would be really cool, roll it on the opposite angle, having this in the center. This goes on the pipe first, so it's protected. Then this end, or actually put this end in first, so that the lightest end can have a nice strong dye. So that's probably what I'm going to do with this, is refold it the opposite way, and that way I'll have a striking pattern the whole way. But since it'll be all crunched up, I won't get just a solid color like the one I just hand dipped. All right. We're almost done, ladies. And then I saved one to reveal with y'all. And so this was hand sewed together. And I'm curious to see what, if any, pattern it left. And I wanted to do this, reveal it with you here. Okay. Just another piece of the blue. And it's mottled. This was from the shaving cream dyeing that didn't adhere. I'm going to have to try that again. All right. Another little piece left from something. These were all failed pieces of fabric that now are wonderful. So I just love indigo. And, you know, at first I thought I wanted everything dark. But if everything's dark, then you're cutting out a whole lot of value. And, oh, this was cool. This right here, let me see if I have it the right side. I think I do. This was, I had the fabric lying flat on the table. I pinched it and started twirling it. Once I got it twirled, then I put rubber bands all over it to hold it. Like, think of a cinnamon bun, okay? So that's where that one came from. And I think that is beautiful. Becky took home a little one that we had done on a glue stick. It was so pretty. I said, Becky, take that home and put it in your window, because seeing the light through it was so beautiful. So I want her to come back, and then when she comes back, I'm going to let her do some wonderful foldings to take home with her. This one, oh, I know what this one is. This one, I did the accordion folding, but instead of just putting a rubber band bink, bink, bink along it, I took and folded it up on itself, did a rubber band. Then folded it the opposite way, did a rubber band. Just playing with it to see what I could get. So that's why it's not quite as uniform. And see the big blue stripe here? That's because right in the middle I did a big blue fold. So the end of it for the end of it, because here's the middle of that fold. The rubber band was right here. So I'm hoping you like this. And what I'm thinking of doing is cutting them into charm packs and selling. Oh, yes. This is another triangle with popsicle sticks. But Becky folded this herself. And she did it the accordion way, and then she did the triangle. But the triangle got so thick, she said, I'm not going to be able to put these little popsicle sticks over that. So what I did is I split the triangle in half. So I had a triangle here, and there's fabric in the middle. So we put popsicle sticks on each other triangle, and I put a rubber band around the middle. And see if you see that pattern. This is where the rubber band went in the middle. And then look at how the popsicle sticks formed a pattern. Is that the coolest? And I love the pattern that the rubber band makes. It's so wonderful. Yeah, let me show it both ways to make sure. And the part on the outside really gets to absorb the dye. But part of the randomness of this, part of the unevenness of this is the beauty in Indigo. It's not ever going to be like the modern fabrics that you buy from a store where it's perfectly uniform. That's not what it is. This is natural. All right. Then I took some fabric and this is the last one. I took some fabric, I did the accordion fold, and then I put clothespins down one side and clothespins down the other side, but off center. Like these two were here, the one on this side went in the middle. And wait till you see what this did. I wish I had dyed this one more time, but I think it is still beautiful. So I would say in general, okay, and here's how you can tell. Here was the clothespin here. This was the clothespin down here. Clothespin, clothespin. And because of the fold is why you get 4 dots and then just 2 dots, depending on where the fold was hit. But I love this. Love it. So plan on, if you do indigo dyeing, plan on dyeing everything 3 times, dipping it down. And I'm hoping I made it clear why you have to do dips, successive dips, rather than just leaving it in the dye. And that's because it doesn't become one with the fiber. It fits in the fiber. So after you have to let it fully oxygenate so it's all swelled up and in the fiber. You rinse off the excess so you leave it ready to, nothing's in the way to get in the way of the new going inside the fibers. And so you wring it out, then you slowly put it back in the dip water, in the vat. And then whatever fiber manages to get in, whatever dye molecules manage to get into the fiber, and then you bring it out, it hits the oxygen, swells up, and it's there. So then you have to let it fully oxygenate, rinse it, bring it, put it back in the dip thing. So that's one thing that we will work on for next time, because the difference in the dyes, see, we did those 3 times easily because they were easy to do. You just wet them and dump them in. Oh, this one. And I think I showed you this one before. This was a wax resist. And these were bottle caps, soda bottle caps. Oh. You can, that is a batik method. Now I'm going to tilt the camera down. Did anybody, can you re-dye some of the line? I'm looking to see ice works to remove wax. I like that idea. Thank you. I love the common wisdom a group shares. I can only think of so many things, and y'all come up with brilliant things. So if you have any more, I'll kind of scan back too, but I want you to feel like that any questions you have. And like I said, I will have handouts, people in our group. And if you're not in our group, just write me an email. Let me go ahead and type this in while I'm thinking about it. Whoops, hold on. Okay. It came out better than I thought, honestly. Okay. So if you are going to want a handout and you're not in our group, or if you want to join our group, that is a very ugly picture of my old skin. Let me move somewhere better. There we go. I'll show you the OurTimeToQuilt sticker on my sewing machine. Okay. Oh, aren't you smart? See, Mary, don't we learn the best from our mistakes? So, if you either want to join our group, tiny bubbles last. Oh, aren't they cute? That is just the bottle caps. Okay, here is the reveal of the hand sewed. And I've got to use the seam ripper to get enough of this out. I just kind of sat there and did little stitches. Oh my gosh, some of the Japanese women, oh my gosh, some of the little pinches they do. Oh, I'm seeing, look, see where when this fabric lifts up, look where that little piece of thread was. Okay, let me get fast to get this done. But anyway, I am going to make charm packs of this up, and I'll show you those next week. If you're at all interested, let me know. I've got to figure out a price for them. And it'll probably be $20 for 20 charm blocks. And so that'll be the 5-inch charm blocks. Because this is, this is a lot of work, and I had to order materials. But I thought, oh, I am so loving this. If I can find it, I've got to be able to justify buying more fabric at this point. So, but just let me know. Another reason I have to get myself a selling platform, because when you love it that much, you can't just keep making it. You got to find an outlet for it. But this was absolutely fascinating. And I'm hoping this week, since I still got a good vat bucket, because the vat, if you maintain it, it can last a few weeks. And so we've got it in a very quiet place where it's not moving around. Now, this might be the last time I do all this sewing, because this is hard to see where is the thread exactly. But unless this really wows me, I'm not sure I'll keep. But all day Friday, I spent watching videos of different techniques of folding and resist, and trying to get these ready, because you have to have all your fabric prepared. Any resist method, all prepared before you even make your vat. And that's the reason I told y'all I really wanted to do it right. All right. Let me see if I've got enough. What I need to do is have a way to pull the threads out easily, but I'm not sure that would be, because to get it tight enough, I had to do like a bunch of little knots. I'm not sure this is worth the sewing. So let me see. And that's the thing, is some things work, some things don't. There was one method that they made, and they did the sewing along the top of each fold, and then it was very even, so they could draw it up to a very tiny accordion pleat, and they called it the tooth. it looked like a row of teeth. And I thought, no, thank you. I don't want to do that one. Okay. Well, this is not maybe the most exciting reveal, but it just shows that just about anything works with resist and indigo. I don't want to rip the fabric, so I'm trying to be careful. But how is y'all's day going now this fine day in May? And I hope you're enjoying yourself and your weather is pretty decent. I want y'all to hope for rain for us. We really need it. When I went out to pick the flowers, I could tell that the flowers were fading too fast because of lack of rain. All right. Come on. Almost there. Almost there. If you have any questions, write them in all capitals. And yes, the one site where they say, please write in all capitals because it helps me to see that you're trying to ask a question. Because I absolutely love I absolutely love your chatting amongst yourselves. You're always, I love that. When I see you all chatting and asking each other questions and talking, it makes my heart happy. And that way, if you write in capitals, I know, oh, you mean me. Okay, I'll look at it. So, let's see. I think I finally got it. Oh, okay, well, maybe it's not as bad as it first looked. You never know, do you? Okay, here's this side, and there is that side. So you know what? Take care, Michelle. It was so good to see you, sweetheart. So good. So, yeah, I'm thinking what I'm going to do. If I cut the fabric into charm packs, that way I can keep some and I can sell some and then make some more. And as I make it, I'll get better and better with finding more interesting resist patterns. So you know what? Let me put the camera back up now so you can see it hanging straight up. All right. Here is this piece. And here's this side. So it's kind of cool. I do see a pattern in it. I think I would have to make the see the stitches in it? I think I'd have to make them a little tighter. Oh, Mary does like the sewing method. Okay, excellent, excellent. So I think all in all, this is fun. And whew, and now I'm absolutely worn out. I tell you, I was feeling bad about myself going to a nursery for a couple of hours, coming home dying all day. But it was a lot of setup, you know, unfolding the tables, getting them out there, getting electricity, getting water, getting Mark put up that gazebo so I could have a place to work. That was so wonderful. So it was a lot of fun. Any questions? And Mary, I see you might be interested, so that's great. Okay, so, you know, and we'll see how it goes, and you know, maybe I can look into finally getting it Etsy. I don't know how to do any of this online, so I'll talk to my daughter again too. But anyway, it's just so much fun. I can't wait to do it again. I just can't wait. It was, you know, and don't worry about getting blue. Oh, one of the ladies gave on one of the sites, because I called so many, and one of the ladies said, wear black, because no matter how careful you think you're going to be, just wear black. And that's what I did. I wore black, and I said, that way I don't have to worry. So, because it won't really show up. Oh, well, I think I have run out of things to talk about. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was a little bit exciting. I put my spring quilt up. Yay. And still trying to get this room clean. And I've got to definitely go and sew on the neutrals quilt. I've got to finish that by Thursday. My curvy quilt. Still, whoops, this way. Still thinking. My heart is still with Ukraine and those dear people in all the wonderful countries that are supporting them. So that's wonderful. Judy, it is so good to see you. And I'm hoping the friend who kept me company the other week when I had a problem, I hope that she's still in. Alberta Powell, hello, dear heart. Oh, thank you, Cass. Thank you, thank you. I tell you what, it really worked doing my homework and organizing it. That really worked. So I can't wait to do more of it. So anyway, thank you all. And we'll probably end this up a little bit early today. But I think my recliner is calling me. Aren't I terrible? Oh, thank you. Something definitely very different. And I asked my daughter, and she said, because I said, you know, when it gets warmer out, I want to do a regular Procyon dyeing. Oh, and I wanted to thank my pre-reduced Indigo was a Jacquard product. Boy, do I use a lot of Jacquard products. All my little paints and those exciter kits that I use, Jacquard, big name in the industry, and they made the pre-reduced Indigo. So I'm very thankful to them. But I asked Becky this summer when it gets a little warmer and she's not teaching because she's on summer break, do you want to do some Procyon dyeing? She said, absolutely, because I'll do some ice dyeing. I think instead of trying on individual colors, I'm going to just work on beautiful melange, you know, several different colors. Try to do some skies, try to do some oceans, things like that, so that I can have a background to then build art quilts on top of. So that's the next thing I will work on. All right, everybody. Have a great rest of your weekend. Have a really, really good week. And I will finish the handout for the dyeing. And when I finish it, I'll put it up on our site. And if you're not on our site and you want one, just send me an email to the OurTimeToQuilt at twc.com. And I will shoot it out to you. Thank you for joining me today. I tell you what I do. And I love being here with you twice a week. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Take good care. Take good care of yourself. Bye-bye, everybody. Oh, Polly, we're going to have you over soon, too. I promise. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a good week.